Hey, fam, welcome back to another episode of I'm Telling You.
Telling you.
With you, always your amazing host. I'm not even going to try and say it just because you're going to mess with me, but yeah, Philly D.
Mr. Gemini.
Clickety clack a fact check of Miss JD.
Always. Full house. Loving it.
Bringing you 30 years of friendship in whatever form it takes.
Like whether Transformers.
Silly, serious, sincerious.
Yeah, if you want to send us something telling us what we do for you as a show.
There may be stories or skits forthcoming. We're not sure.
Yeah, you can hit us up at ITY, directionsinmusic.org. Or you can even go to the site, directionsinmusic.org, and you can go through the contacts, and you can find us that way, too.
You could hit up Philly D.
Yeah, directionsinmusic.org or Gemini.
There you go.
Gemini, little robot. But yeah, that's honestly, you know, we don't care what you hit us up for. Just hit us up because we'll
Just
respond.
suck. Just anything.
Dude, I know, right? Dude, movie quotes. Tell us.
Does that sound desperate? Just
sometimes a little bit. I'm needy.
Honestly, just tell us what's.
I don't know if I wouldn't say desperate, but
it's not about us.
Needy.
Right?
Yeah,
it's not about us.
It's never been about us.
It's not about us.
It's about you and everyone else. It's about all of us.
It's about making a connection, man.
It's about dude. It's about having conversations that nobody ever has.
That's what I did when I was just away.
Enough.
I was just telling you about that. I make connections with some.
I talks and stuff.
Just by talk, and that's what I do. We just talks and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what we've always done, though. And I think I've made this statement before. Us doing this here, like getting into the whole show idea, has definitely gotten us to talk more with others as well. So it's really gotten us to branch out and really continue the conversation, as we always say.
It was really nice for me because I felt like it was a safe to say environment. There was a couple nights during the week I was trust. Yeah, so the hotel I was staying at had this little smoking section, and that became like my second home. So like after the kids went to bed and moms went to bed, she wasn't up for staying out late night, so I went and had a beer, took my beer out back, had a smoke, and the next thing you know, we start talking to complete strangers and having a good old time.
That happens with you, man. Dude, they gravitate, bro.
Isn't this how you make friends on vacation?
That's it. Usually involves
in the smoking area.
Beer and
that's where the cool kids hang out. And right? It's like the back of the bus.
Some mixed drinks, or maybe
I'm not complaining.
Or maybe depending on the situation.
Well, see, what I'm hearing is that there's alcohol involved, and what you may or may not be aware is this can modify your perception of things. Maybe
I don't know. I mean,
maybe that's why you just say, "Hey, I'll talk to you." But like, bro, your standards have dropped. That's like
perceptions, or
maybe you're talking to a palm tree right now, bro.
Maybe just kind of reduces your inhibitions. Like what is it that's inhibiting you from talking about these things? It just kind of like if there's some kind I could put in this hand that would make you feel
right. Yeah, but that's, we get rid of that stigma. We get rid of the fear of.
Well, there's something about, I can see why alcohol works so well as a social lubricant. And yes, I said lubricant. Because it kind of, one or two drinks is enough to kind of take the edge off, right? And it allows you to kind of be more yourself.
It's like an emotional icebreaker.
An emotional icebreaker.
Right? Like, I'm amongst total strangers, and I'm telling them stuff like I haven't told people in like 10, 20 years. Just like, but it's all in context. Like, it's one of those moments that you have with complete strangers. That's just, it's a beautiful thing.
This sounds like a really weird, risque rendezvous you're explaining here.
Not at all, man. You're all creepy and gross the way you're looking at me right now. I don't like it.
Like the last little part that he's talking about. It's
just
talking
like,
to my guy wrong. All I'm waiting to hear was like, yeah, and it was just this truck stop right on route. Would be like, whoa,
no.
Guy, what are you doing over here? Yeah, no.
I have met some people he's made friends with from smoking circles. So I can concur that those connections were definitely like good connections. They were good it was good conversation
Good conversation, good people. I mean,
yeah.
may never see him again, but hey.
But that's what this is about.
We got the memory.
It's just getting those conversations going, because that's the thing is like, so
I'm hoping some may be reaching out. We'll see.
Oh yeah, right.
We'll see.
Yeah, who knows, right?
For a brief moment, I actually spoke to a doctor. No, not like a medical doctor, but like a doctor. She was in the medical field.
Ed Lover.
No, but it was just it's so funny, sometimes when you're lucky enough to kind of end up in a situation where you find yourself among relatively similarly thinking people, and that you're able to have a conversation. And even if you disagree, you're the type of people that can agree to disagree.
Yeah, open-minded, accepting conversation.
Yeah, not everybody can do that. Some people are so hung up on their biases and their religious protocol, and they can't have an open conversation. Just have the what if.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of that comes down to like just the acceptance of, hey, we may not agree. I may not believe in what you believe, but that doesn't mean that I'm right, you're wrong.
But is it criminal for you to try a thought experiment? I mean, do you think you would burn in hell for trying a thought experiment? I think that's the real question.
Go to hell and die.
Like, I'm not saying you have to give up your faith. I'm just saying, think about it. And just, is there a way that you can imagine what if? I know it sounds crazy, and you lay it on them and you say you work from there. And it's like, I have a tendency to gravitate towards certain people that are open-minded and all kinds of stuff. And it's just fun to find that connection sometimes with total strangers.
And yeah, that's really at the heart of like what we do is regardless of if you're.
I know I was trying to market us and everything. I'm like, damn,
of course not.
I wish I had some business cards and shit, like all proper.
You guys should listen to us. But yeah, and that's because that's the thing though is
no budget.
Listening to us or not, it really is just what you're doing there. It's having that conversation, and it doesn't necessarily mean when we say we have the conversations that nobody else is having, it doesn't mean that they're like taboo. I mean, maybe sometimes they are, but
no. But like I like saying it's the fly on the wall. It's the conversation amongst maybe the same dozen that's happening in the same hour at a giant party. Like, you ever have that conversation where it's so wild you can't even remember all the details, but you had an awesome night and you talked with a bunch of people you'll probably never see again in your life, but it was at this banging party. Like, that's kind of like that weird, like, make that connection, like, total strangers, like being able to bounce ideas off each other and play around with the what ifs and like what have you.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
nothing sexual, you freaking pervert. I'm just
I said one time I was trying to be funny. Jeez.
Trying.
Oh, that was mean. I said I'm gonna take my ball and go home. Yeah, I really enjoy and anything. Literally anything is open for conversation. Like, that's the beautiful thing is being able to.
Well, I mean, you don't start off with the really weird far out shit.
Well, of course you can. You got to test. You got to test the water.
You start out with like normal everyday stuff, like family and kids, and Well, obviously the weather. That's an easy. But it's just so boring. If all you're gonna do is talk about the weather and then move on and just don't, that doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
Like, I like having the real conversation where, the next thing you know, you're kind of knee deep in hearing stories about this other person's life when they were children. And it's weird how that kind of develops. And like, I don't force it out of people, but a lot of times I feel like just the nature of the way that I am and being accepting and open, that it kind of gravitates sometimes.
I agree with that.
So, and I love that. I love making that connection. And that may be one thing that the rest of my family never sees. That part of me that like, I get into it with people that like I've never known before and just enjoy the company of somebody. Like, I'm on vacation.
I'm on the boat.
Right.
Yeah, it's very live in the moment. I get that.
I feel guilty. I'm almost terrible sometimes that my wife can't enjoy these moments with me, but it's not necessarily her thing. Like, which is fine. But like I get into it with these other people and like having conversations, and it could go like I said, from the weather to kids to your job to whatever. And the next thing you know, it ends up somewhere around religion or spirituality or science. And
or string theory or quantum mechanics.
I had this huge conversation. I think there was probably like a half dozen people, including myself, at this little smoking section at this hotel. At least one or two nights this week where it was like we did that. We played that game of like, what if, and like, imagine if, and what's this mean? And we delved into not, because I'm really careful when I talk to people like about saying anything about religion, but you realize pretty early on like who you can joke around with. Like when I brought up the Christian side hug, like I know there's certain people like I can bring that up around, and they're not going to get all like, look of concern on their face, like they're getting ready to call the authorities or something. But I don't know, man. It's something about having that real connection, which is what, like you said, which is what really I want to bring with this.
Yeah.
A reason why no matter what this morphs and becomes into, that we still keep like our own little piece of it that's completely original,
Well, and raw. Some of our original conversations, like you saying your original, what you wanted to get from this was the ability for somebody to become something greater just for the potential of it. And if at some point to actually have acknowledgement of that would be awesome, but that's not the point. We know that there's something that can be said or done, or because we can.
Well, I said, like, if we speak so freely about something completely unrelated, but it makes you think of something, it makes you work through something, or whatever it is, or maybe it's just in being open-minded and open-voiced about things while we're talking to each other, and not that it's anything we wouldn't normally do, but actually recording it and putting it out there, that maybe it would make somebody more comfortable to speak to their loved one, or figure out, because I'm still trying to figure out like how it is to put like emotional stuff that bothers me like into words so other people around me can understand like this is something I have to deal with. So if you love me, you have to deal with it too. Like there's certain things like, say for instance, don't put me around clowns. Just putting that out there. I don't like clowns. So, you can joke around, but like, don't put me in a situation where I'm going to be surrounded by clowns or I'm going to start acting weird. And I may do something unexpected, or I may act like an a-hole because I feel uncomfortable.
Right.
So it's in learning to, and I'm just using that as an example, but in learning to express to the people that you care about, like, okay, I need to acknowledge that I have an issue around this area, and then I need to learn how to put that into words and share it with somebody that cares about me. So they're not like, why are you acting like an asshole? They can be like, oh, well, I should expect him somewhat to act like an asshole because we're at a place that's surrounded by clowns. So... And you can reference that or relate to that however you wish.
I said nothing. I said nothing. I'm listening.
Because we don't get into politics here, but there's clowns out there. I'm just saying.
Oh, wow. You going to make fun of Canada now? Are they next?
I just can't.
Because that's your original offender.
You're just going to keep, really?
Because that's who you originally used to pick on.
So you're never going to let me live that down?
Well, of course not, because, that's not my job.
All right.
I don't get paid to do that.
You don't get paid at all?
Well, not with you. I get, like, high fives and, like, friend hugs and stuff, which is dope, but,
That is dope.
If anything, you cost me money. Freaking snacks and...
I'm like that side bitch.
Yeah, but at least I get you the good snacks, you know what I mean?
Wait, if you're a side bitch, do you only get side hugs?
Pretty much. That's,
Is that what it's all about?
Sometimes.
All right, so I just cracked one of my beers.
You mean you opened it?
I opened it.
Well, because it's glass. If you cracked it, that could be dangerous. What? I'm just saying. Careful, bro.
What?
Go easy. This is the one that you was it you said a little bit like vanilla and like orange and chocolate and like a whole bunch of stuff, right?
There's orange peel, cacao, which is the cracked seed of
A cow.
Ow.
Yeah, there's a whole cow in there.
I put milk in it. There's a cow in there.
3 whole vanilla beans, like chopped up in the boil.
Well, which were they, whole or chopped up?
Well, they were chopped up, but they were whole when I got them.
I'm just saying it's very confusing. He's like, I had 3 whole chopped up vanilla beans. It's just like, well,
They were
so
whole,
were
but
they-
obviously I cut them up. Or cut them up to whatever.
were you like yelling and be like, you don't look good today. You're nobody's favorite. Nobody likes you. Be like, oh, stop cutting us
You're
off.
short, you're ugly, and you're a terrible burden on your poor mother.
That was number 2, right?
Wasn't that the first Ghostbusters?
No, I think it was from the second one, wasn't it?
Second one?
Yeah.
I thought it was the first one.
Well, no, because that's in the second one. She had the kid.
I got to put him down. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I think the second one doesn't get enough credit as a good movie because it really is funny. I mean, come on. It's still freaking
They were both
Bill
good.
Murray and Dan Aykroyd.
They were both good. I was
Ernie
very
Hudson.
apprehensive about seeing the remake, and I haven't seen the new remake.
Wait, what do you mean the
But the one-
remake?
I was
of
just about to
The
ask.
one with the girls.
Oh, do you know the one?
The Afterlife.
Yeah,
No, I haven't seen that one yet. I haven't seen the newest
the
one.
one with the ladies is mad dope. I highly recommend it.
But I put off a long time before seeing that.
Nah, it's a great reboot, dude. Do it.
But
Do
you
it.
gotta love it for what it is,
Do it.
not for what it's trying to be. Because it's not really. It doesn't.
Well-
It does honor to it without trying to push it too far. It's not the
Agreed.
same thing.
And I'll tell you personally, it's what got me to get my kid to watch the originals
Oh, word.
because it was like girl power. And then she was like, "Oh, that was really great." I was like, "Oh, you like that, did you? Would you like to see the original?"
Right.
There's an oh yes. And now she's a Ghostbusters.
There you go.
Oh yeah, she's into it. I'm pretty sure she's seen the new one and everything. And yeah,
Just can't trick her into kung fu. That's just not going to happen.
she's just not into kung fu, bro. I mean, she's a really cool kid. I can't fault her that she's not like
Can't win them all.
Yeah, I mean, she's cool with lowriders, right? Like she loves lowriders and like she knows how to play with the switches and make stuff like bounce and hop and go up and down and stuff like so. She speaks Spanish sometimes and she doesn't sound like super suburban anymore.
So yes, porter, chocolate, vanilla, cinnamon, orange peel.
I thought I was talking then.
You're done.
Apparently so. Wait,
So anyway.
should we preface?
No, I mean,
is this
we
one of
did-
those nights when you
did
should
we?
preface. You have not prefaced. I'm just
Apologize
saying.
ahead of time, kind of thing.
You seem to be like very.
You know what? I think we're just gonna make that part of my whole gig. Like, there's just a standing apology for any time I get on the mic. I guess.
That would be the new intro to like your segment where it's just like Gemini goes off, be like, and now
66. That's all I gotta. Just 66 times.
It's like news bull. It's be like, and now from Mr. Gemini, strange thoughts. So I did this porter. But yeah,
At
no,
the
so
end, you'll be like, that tangent was brought to you by King Gemini.
all right, so you have your whole chopped vanilla bean in here.
Yeah, the vanilla bean, the cacao is in the mash, and everything else is in the boil. The vanilla bean, cinnamon stick, and it was actually Valencia orange peel because I couldn't get to the regular store, so I just went to the grocery store, and that's what they had in the McCormick aisle. So that's what I put in here.
And
it's I don't know. Do you like it?
I haven't tried it yet.
You haven't tried this one yet.
You didn't open it.
Well, it's open now, you brother. You want some?
Open mine.
Oh, that's you were.
Well, I mean, it's your beer, right? Aren't you supposed to present it to me
I'm gonna present it to you,
like
all
a
right?
peacock with your plumage?
I'm gonna present it to you. All right?
Show me your plumage, bro. It's Saturday, bro.
All right.
Well, first, we got to be like, yeah, Salud.
Salute.
I'm going to sniff it first.
Mind you, this should probably be drank closer to room temperature than it is right now.
Put it in your mouth.
Oh my God. Can't believe you would say that.
And it actually is much better in a glass.
Yeah, you need to let this breathe. Yeah, dude, can we, is there, hold on. Check it.
You're going to down that?
Why? It's water. Why not?
Okay, all right,
it's good for, I should be hydrating, especially
Sure.
after all the beers in the green room.
It's dun, 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 dun. Oh, wow. Okay. You just downed all that. All right.
I got a big throw, bro.
Water.
He's going to have
sucks.
to pee in 3 minutes.
I'm pretty,
That's right. That's why there's two of us.
I'm a large guy, right? So, I mean, I have enough space that I'm pretty good about that. So,
talking about the size of his bladder.
yeah, that too.
So
what?
well, I mean, pouring it into a glass. I mean, so
Yeah, I'm going to let it breathe for a hot minute.
initial impression,
Ooh, excuse me.
it's very dark.
Yeah, very, very carbonated.
Have you done
Shouldn't be too bad.
the mead yet?
Have I had mead?
The mead has been transferred
No.
from a 6.5 gallon to a 5 gallon carboy, which is just a big a big glass big glass bottle.
Is it a
It'll
bracket?
probably be up to another 2 weeks before I'm ready to bottle, and about 4 days before I'm doing that, I'm gonna dry hop. I think with a Zaka. You'd have to look it up, but it's a lot of tropical fruit flavors.
Why do I have to look it up? One, you sound like you know what you're
true.
talking about,
She
so
can
you
look
should
up
be able to tell me. Or
Azaka.
two,
It's like, you know, I don't know,
zygote.
passion fruit, and
You're a passion
all
fruit.
kinds of different like fruity tropical flavors.
You're a fruity tropical flavor.
And what is this called when you dry hop?
Yeah, that's a dry hop. So you do a dry hop
Is when you throw in the fruit after?
after. Well, no, there's no fruit. It's just I'm dry hopping. I'm planning on dry hopping with a Zaka, which is a type of hop that has a lot of tropical fruit flavor notes to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that will impart more of like a fruit punch, since it's going to come out very dry. It's going to be very dry.
Okay.
This has come out the lowest, and I don't know what this really won't mean anything to you, but this is going to come out the lowest gravity reading I've ever had as far as a final gravity reading. It's going to finish out at 1.006.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means. I heard you. I just don't know what you mean. I'm not deaf. I just don't understand.
1.000 is the gravity of water.
1.21 gigawatts?
Listen to me. I'm trying to give you knowledge.
I'm trying to say 1.21 gigawatts.
1.000 is the gravity of water.
Oh, you were trying to tell me this before. Yeah. So this is the difference between
that's
them,
your
right?
standard. Like that's your baseline.
Correct, yeah.
When you add stuff to your beer, like usually before your boil, you'll take a reading and you'll get your original gravity reading. And that'll tell you how many suspended solids are in your brew. And really what you're trying to read is sugars. He's such a
Well,
pervert.
uneaten, like what's still left over, because the rest would have been eaten by the...
Right, but it's not accurate to the point where it's reading suspended solids. Don't laugh at that. That's very childish.
I said nothing.
But the assumption is
make
that,
a face on that
that
one.
most of those are going to be sugars, and sugar is going to take most of the weight of that. Did that feel good?
Oh yeah, it did.
Like a
Yeah, if you could actually hear that quick little click in the background, that was my knee.
old man, little knee pop.
Dude, you know what? Like, when I was a kid, remember
Story time.
Yeah, remember when we were growing up and stuff, and I was always talking about like my knees and stuff popping and stuff like that. And, like, I always thought it was like growing pains, as well as the fact that I was just very active. I mean, you know me, I was like an extreme dude. Like, I was either like rollerblading, skateboarding, doing something, like
It's just always
running
been a
around
thing.
stuff, jumping off stuff, climbing things. Like, I was just a dumb boy, right? Like, you know,
Like just a boy.
you hurt yourself. It's like, just rub some dirt on it and walk it off.
Just call that a boy.
Yeah, pretty much, right? But I would get into all this, and as I've gotten older, it's come to be found out is like I actually just have always had like a joint thing. So it's like that's why
me too.
I got chronic pain.
I got chronic pain. It's no joke.
But yeah, no, and that's and that's what I've been.
It's medicinal.
Going back to all of the very strict vegetarian diet that I've been trying to do because it is high potassium, calcium, magnesium, which helps to like lubricate your joints.
You said lubricate.
Joints. Oh, see, there it is again.
Your joint.
Oh my gosh. It keeps going.
You should try an MSM.
A what?
MSM. It's actually a vitamin. It increases the synovial fluid in your joints. Helps lubricate them better.
Delicious.
That sounds very mucusy, honestly.
Synovial fluid. I think I heard about that in sex ed.
Yeah, well, but so beyond just doing like the vegetarian stuff, there's also like tons of supplements as well. It's like you guys are talking about. So I mean, I've been trying to do things where it's not having to get additional. It's like if I can just maintain a proper diet and like exercise and just like stretching and being active and stuff, if I can just do it by typical means of just having a healthy lifestyle, I kind of want to go that route,
Chances are you'd be probably better off doing that anyway. I mean, even whatever your diet is, if you can include a certain number of fruits and vegetables and be able to get your vitamins and minerals, no joke, into your bloodstream because...
Give me your fruit cup.
Well, because how many people spend like hundreds of dollars on vitamins and they don't even know what the absorption rate of the vitamins is? Like, they don't do the research. They don't know, like, or you're just buying something because of its name or, whatever it is. But is that really the same thing as getting it, from the earth?
See, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
origin.
And I think this kind of goes to a discussion I've had many times where I feel that soil growing, while hydroponics can prove to be very efficient in quantity production as far as like the ratio of inputs to output. So it's definitely something that can produce larger quantities.
With less real estate.
Right. But to me, there's a certain level that's kind of missed when you're not using an earth object. That's why I really love, like, all right, so hydroponics is cool. That's why I love doing aquaponics, like using the fish as part of that cycle.
Actually creating a tiny ecosystem to support.
So to me, it's kind of the best of both worlds. It's almost like getting of the earth. It's just not from the dirt. It's from the water, but it's still the same thing.
It's like, in a way, the
I'm keeping a cycle.
Lack of a better term, the shit from the plants is partly food for the fish, and the shit from the fish is partly food for the plants. So it's kind of like this weird.
Yeah.
They both have something to give to the equation.
Symbiotic relationship. You can't have one without the other.
I bet that there's bacterial and fungal.
That's very beneficial for both.
See?
Yeah, the
fungus.
Most of the bacteria and fungi for like all that is like
what's my word?
Mycelium. they're very beneficial and reciprocal in that nature. So if you have a healthy root zone, the likelihood is you also have a healthy water zone for the fish as well. So, and it buffers itself too.
And this all involves like certain bacteria and fungus that naturally grow within the.
Correct. Yeah, it becomes a self-sustaining ecosystem on its own when properly maintained and
so now when
looked
you
after.
Use certain types of stone and certain types of filler that actually.
Oh yeah, there's like tons of
media
that you can use.
What do you call it? It inhibits like bacterial colonies and all kinds of different stuff. Like,
well, no. So here's the thing: is like, all right. So typical substrate, which is either lava rock,
porous.
Yeah, stuff that's very porous, like clay. There's tons of different components of that nature, but you're actually attempting to get as much surface area as possible for the bacteria and fungi, but you're looking for the healthy versions, right? Like the I forget the exact names offhand because there's a ton of them, but there's a crap ton that are also like no bueno. and you get just like the slightest bit, and you get a wild infestation where it grows out of control, and that's where proper maintenance comes into play.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like your own personal biome. I mean, there's certain bacterias and funguses that work really well with the human body, and there's some that they don't play nice with others.
Right. And it's very natural, and all you have to do is, and that's where I'm like, to me, the proper diet and like exercise, when you're using those systems correctly so that you're getting that balance, they kind of just work themselves out. So you already have all the stuff that's like capable and natural, but you just have to promote it.
That's why when it comes to like medical stuff, like anything that supports the immune function of the human body is something I support, but anything that tends to go against it, like I have a real problem. I have a real issue with the way that we still treat cancer in this country. Using, you know what I mean? Using things that, yes, they attack the cancer cells, but they also attack the healthy cells too.
Right.
So is there a way to do this in which we're attacking only the cells we want to attack, but actually helping strengthen and support the cells that are going to help you do that and help you support good,
So
immunity?
we were talking before about binaural, where you get the
cool
counter.
Stuff. Yeah,
where you have like one frequency that counters another frequency, and you use the difference in between to make modifications. Like there's I remember seeing a video, and I think I sent it to you a bunch of times.
Just like if you play a tone on one octave, you have to play the same tone.
No, it's not octave; it's frequency.
It's frequency.
So it's literally the frequency.
So it's 11 times the original frequency.
Correct. Yeah, so the video that I'm referencing, I think they said they found somewhere in like the 20,000, and so like 11 times different. So the somewhere up in the ultrasonic ranges where we're not going to be able to audibly hear it, they were able to allow like leukemia cells to rupture.
But there's two. There's a very low frequency that's very audible, and then there's one. Well, I was saying 11 octaves, but you're saying 11 times the frequency.
Yeah, I think that was the number. It had to be 11 times that's the separation that they found was 11
like
times the difference.
But that they create.
No, the frequency, like what it resonates on.
So that the two,
like the cycle, so
the two frequency waves.
Frequencies, so frequencies is hertz or cycles per second. So it's whatever that sound wave resonates on is its frequency. So if it resonates at 100 cycles or 2,000 or in our ears, I think we can't hear above like 16 or something, or 14, like 14,000 or 16,000.
Well, that's a number of ons and offs within a given period of time. So like that's the difference between the notes, like A, E, D, F, whatever.
So each note will resonate at a different frequency, but it's still like same notes of the same note, but in different keys can resonate at different frequencies. So it's
correct.
Still, yeah. So that's the frequencies is literally the cycles in which it resonates.
Correct.
So yeah, that's its sound wave. It's audible. What we would hear it as.
What you think of as a lettered note is an explanation of a certain frequency range, and that's why you'll have standard and sharp and flat and all that other stuff. That's describing the range of that frequency. Well, yes, relatively.
I get what you're saying.
I don't what's going on here? I didn't know we were getting into science on this stuff. I'm not a math teacher. I'm not a music teacher. I don't have a whiteboard or.
Did I go tangent again?
No, I'm just saying.
Former musician, I understand where you're coming from.
I don't.
But and what it does to, you were saying.
But that's the thing is in the video specifically, I'm pretty sure it was like, they were non-audible frequencies. Because again, they were like way up there, like 20,000 or something like that. And so using the two different frequencies caused the leukemia cells to basically rupture from inside out. Like they're like, I can't take it. And they just like.
And this is just from some quote unquote hippie shit. Like,
this the same video?
This is science, I believe. I'm pretty sure this is documented. They've had a few trials of this. Like this is legit peer reviewed. I mean, we're talking like legit science.
there was one of the videos that we had watched, that we had discussed before. When they did the sound frequencies, they had two different types of cancer. First one was pancreatic cancer, and they used the Rifleman's frequency radar, like the number of frequency or whatever you needed to do pancreatic cancer. And then it showed you, as they played that frequency, what happens in real time to the cells, and it like literally divided them. And then the frequency actually ruptured the cancer cell itself and left a healthy cell left behind. And then when they went to go do it with another type of cancer, let's say testicular cancer, same idea, but different frequencies were used. And there are some open-minded doctors that will use the sound frequency for healing within certain types of cancers, but those doctors there are not a lot of them, because there's not a lot of open-minded ones that want to deal with like holistic.
Well, sure, they can't get the financial backing. I mean, in a lot of cases, that's really what it boils down to, is that nobody's willing to pay for that.
Well, it's new science.
They think it's fringe science.
And
well, yeah, I mean, because there's not enough data to, so yeah, it's still risky.
But we're willing to lean on fringe science for all kinds of other things, so why not that? I don't know. Anything that's least invasive for the human body, that's what I would think, and something that kind of correlates with keeping a healthy mind and
proper diet and exercise. So if I'm doing this physically, I'm probably doing this mentally and emotionally. So if I'm healthy internally, it would be externalized. So yeah, that's why I'm like, I'd rather.
Yeah, and then
go ahead.
Also, if you're diagnosed with cancer, the first thing that they do is they if you look into it, they recommend a vegan or a vegetarian diet with no heavily processed or any type of processed food.
Yeah, so basically,
I've done all this
like
research.
A raw diet, like a raw vegan diet, like salads, basically 24/7.
And seeing like I
get a lot of energy from doing that. Honestly, you really do.
If I'm a firm and like for the record, I'm a big vegetarian guy. Like I'm all about doing and like living this lifestyle. However, I know there's definitely evidence of, if you're getting proper meat, meaning that you're getting like grass fed or, well kept, the what do they call it? Open range, not free range,
range.
Like real deal, the way it used to be. So if your animals are like wicked healthy, you're not being like injected with all those hormones and like, the different antibiotics, like all that kind of crap. If you're getting real animal, that's still that's still a very healthy source for nutrition.
It should still be limited, though. I mean,
within moderation.
You're not going to go for the old 96 or like once a week. Like that's just disgusting.
Well, but there's evidence.
They say some of the people, some of the tribes that have lived the longest, to like you're like in the 105 and over age for their elders. Some of those tribes have eaten as little as like 2 to 4 ounces of meat. Like meat at all per month. Well, like for the whole month.
But see, and that's the thing.
You can actually get more protein from vegetables than you can from animal products.
If you
depending, but yeah. But that's the thing is, so
I mean, truthfully, meat does have a lot of full like. You're getting the full range of the protein, because you're talking about very like
you get a complete protein, as they would call it. Yeah, it's got all the aminos that come out of it, and
that's why
broken down properly.
That's why certain things historically have always been served together, like beans and rice, because they actually together they have
they make the complete protein.
Right.
Yeah, it's way healthier for you at that point.
They throw some avocado in there, even.
Yeah. So I mean, but that's the thing. Again, as very much I'm vegetarian. There is something to be said, evidence wise, for all of these different components that we're talking about. Where this lifestyle, like all of those are viable. But I'm very much a huge proponent for the idea of like moderation is definitely also. Which to me, I think says more about you internally as you would externalize your diet at that point. That's why I'm a bigger believer in taking care of yourself inside, and the rest just kind of follows in that sense. So that's why I'm like, I don't agree or disagree with any lifestyle choices as long as it's really what's best for you and those around you. If it's truly making a healthier situation, You should totally be doing that. That's why I'm really not huge on like trying to put anything down. There's definitely evidence for a lot of these things. But I mean, like to me, like the bigger thing
because if
about
somebody
all that,
said you had to eat 3 beets a day to be healthy, you'd be like, look, I can find other ways to be healthy. I don't have to do it your way.
yeah, but to me,
You know,
I think
not to
Right.
put that down, but that's just, you know,
that's why I think
beets are
it's
healthy,
like, I think it's
but I don't want to eat 3 a day.
Well, I think it's funny that, you know, we sit here and say it has to be this, that, and the other, and it's like we beat ourselves up for it and all that. And it's just like, no, I can do it my way. And it's like, it's meant, because I mean, look at the old school like Shaolin and stuff.
Well, it doesn't do any good to beat yourself up for it either.
With like old school, like all Shaolin monk is like straight vegan. Like they teach all those kids from day one, like they never eat meat whatsoever, and they're very healthy, tons of protein, like they have plenty of muscle.
Because
and
it's all violence.
it's all
It's all violence. It's any violence in any form.
yeah. Well, I think that's why ultimately it comes down to is just be good internally, and it really just kind of does its own thing, you know. I mean, if you're
And
healthy,
I do also want to preface that even though people may or think that we're influencing a vegan, vegetarian, whatever diet, it isn't also for everybody. Some people actually can try it, but have adverse effects to it. Like their body could completely reject it too.
Metabolically.
So,
oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I'll even say that when I did this, it wasn't overnight. It's not like one day you decide I'm a vegan and tomorrow, like I'm not eating any meat. Like I slowly took things out of my diet to the point where I waited until I wasn't going to miss something. Like, I'll be all right without that. So now I can move on to my next thing. Like I didn't do it like all at once. I don't think anybody can do that. And that gives your body a chance to kind of catch up to everything. You know, you get it acclimated to eating beans and rice instead of eating steak and potatoes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I mean, I did the carnivore diet. Like I tried that out where I legit 28 days, no juice, no milk, just water, meat, and eggs. Basically is all I
Not
ate.
even vegetables, not even limited greens.
No, none. No fruits, no
Curious.
vegetables, nothing. No grains.
How did
Like
you feel?
the Jordan Peterson diet.
So that's exactly what I was doing. Because remember, I have this joint issue. So I was doing very well with a high protein, low carb, but mostly vegetarian diet. Where it was the point I wasn't doing supplements. I wasn't having to pop any Tylenol or Advil. Like I didn't have to take nothing. No anti-inflammatories. No, pain, nothing. And I wanted to take it to the extreme even further and see if there was a possibility of it. And yeah, when I did it, it was the 26th or the 27th day. I remember it was like almost to the point where it was a full 28 days because they tell you only do it for, a 4-week cycle, like standard, because that's how long it would take for your body to truly adjust and you can tell if it's going to like it or not.
28 days.
Yeah. And I got to like 26, 27 days and my joints were just achy as can be.
So it just wasn't for you.
Well, what I equated it to was I was just getting store beef and chicken and I wasn't getting, like I was saying, like that true grass-fed where it's a proper diet. Because if that protein that the animal is building, the muscle that we're eating, if they're not getting the right diet itself with its exercise, if that animal's not taking care of itself inside to the outside, that muscle or, protein is not going to be as nutritious as it should be. So it's going to be lacking in like potassium or magnesium and all of these things that cause these proper sodium ions to get the right lubrication and like flow of.
Interesting thing I didn't realize until I started looking into it too was that in a lot of cases, especially these days when you're trying to maximize your profit, you might put these animals in close proximity to the point where they start getting sick because there's so many of them in a relatively small space, and then you give them antibiotics to get rid of the symptoms, basically of disease.
You're like pre-treating kind of.
But what didn't occur to me is all of that stuff, like all of the damaging bacteria and all this other stuff that they're fighting that they can't get rid of ends up getting stored in their fat, which is like basically a good portion of what you're eating when you eat the flesh of it. So
I mean, if you're getting a good cut, you know what I'm saying?
You know, that's where I'm like, is it necessarily a thing about, you know, being humane? Or is it really something about, is this really something you want to put in your body? So what are you passing on? You're passing on the grief and
well, because it's not just like the chemical
diet.
Yeah.
I mean, because
it's
the idea, like,
wait a minute,
like you're saying at the beginning of this, like we pay extra for an animal that eats what it's supposed to eat in its natural. Like,
I know, right?
Cows are supposed to eat grass, but now it's not
cost
only
you to do it that way.
Not only do you have to buy your cows grass fed, but they have to be grass finished, because they can tell you, oh, okay, we grass feed them all the way up until the last 6 weeks, and then we give them junk. We give them like whatever they'll eat, anything that's high in carbs, anything that's high in sugars. They've been known to feed cows gummy worms,
corn, yeah,
and corn, obviously. But I mean, it's something as ridiculous as gummy worms, because they want to fatten them up. That's all they want to do.
Yeah.
So
well,
because it's market driven, it's like, is that really
weight.
something you want to put in your body? Do you really know what's going on with that animal? It's not so much about humane conditions for the animal as it is, do you really want to put that in your body?
We're talking about like Kobe beef now, so it's like, hey, you know what, buddy? You're only going to live for a few more months. You really want something yummy? I got you. I mean, that sounds like a pretty nice send off to me. You tell me that
one thing I found out about the whole.
I want to eat that cow. That'd be delicious.
When you go to like holistically treated like animals versus the ones that are pumped with so like when you talk about free range, grass fed, grass finished, whatever, no hormones, no antibiotics,
right,
you're thinking like, yeah, I'm getting like the best. And then when you go to the other ones that are pumped with the hormones and everything, you're like, okay, that's filled with junk pretty much. So one thing that I learned, which was a misconception, now mind you, I've been a vegetarian for 31 years now, but my husband's not, so I do the research for him and other people. But when you do the all natural, they're not getting, like, think about the things that are done to them that are part of the factory farming that may not be so kind. But the natural ones, they're doing that with no anesthetics. They're doing that with no painkillers. With the hormone ones, they're at least like giving them some like numbing medication before they do something. So my point with this is when you think you're getting the no hormones, no this, no additives, whatever, what you're not thinking about is that when they put those animals through the same processes as the other ones, they have fear and toxins building up, natural fear and toxins building up in their systems, which also stores within their body. So you might not be eating the injected hormones, but you're eating the natural, like amplified hormones that are built within. So it's like,
well, that's why I think Kobe
which
beef
one's better?
That's why I'm like, I think Kobe beef is supposed to be like the best of the best because they drink beer and just give them all and they just like give them massages. But think about that, but because then there's they're not producing cortisol. That's what I was saying
to you before, though, about I would sooner eat an animal that I'd killed in the wild than I would eat something from a grocery store.
I mean, I don't know. I like this idea of like beer drinking, massaged meat, where it's just like, it's already going to be tender to begin with because it's just, hey, man.
I don't know.
I get it. It's cycle of life, brother. Go ahead. Eat me up.
I think if you want to eat a steak, you should be willing to kill the animal.
Hey, you know what? I've said this many times to my friends who truly hunt. And I mean, these are people that just don't do it for sport. Like they're putting meat on their table or other people's tables. Like they're supplementing. Right, this is the natural cycle of life that many species.
Like I'm not getting rid of that. I'm not trying to worry about putting that on a trophy unless I can manage it. But I'm worried about. I'll take that to a butcher and make sure I cut it up, and I'm going to give that to everybody I know.
Yeah, but think about that. Indigenous people. We've had this conversation before. Indigenous people. They make pelts, so they have like clothing from the what was their fur and their hide. But they're using the hooves for stuff. Like they're making things out of the
sewing needles, out of the bones.
Yeah, they do all sorts of
everything.
Everything gets used somehow.
The fat gets used to make soap, or the sinew gets used to make strings for instruments, or whatever it is.
Exactly. So I mean, in that kind of a sense or purpose, because I always relate it to Avatar, because it's the easiest way to do it, because most people have seen it.
Well, but
they give praise.
That was a Native American thing.
Yeah, well, it's an indigenous.
That was a very much American indigenous
No, just indigenous people of many. So when you go to where you have that raw nature of like hunter-gatherer aspect, any anthropological study is going to show you that they are very much appreciative in that sense. They always give praise to the thing that they're very happy about
the animal,
for the hand
and
that
they
fed
make
them.
a use of every part so that
Typically,
not a single part of it went to waste. So its life was sacrificed for the greater use.
Yeah, because if they didn't use all of it, they would take the leftovers and give it as sacrifice back to to the gods, the universe, whatever.
Anybody know about that anymore? That's such a dead thing. Like, well, I don't know. What do I call Amazon?
What to give praise back to the world?
How do I how do I do that? Like, if something's broke, I just buy a new one. I don't care if it's like one little thing that's broke on it. You know what I mean? If I want meat, I go to the grocery store and I just buy whatever's cheapest.
See, this is why, I keep going back to that homestead idea. You get the right amount of people, the right environment. It's going to be a beautiful, self-sustaining, glorious community that can be all a part of everything. Like, dude, this is the thing.
You'd probably be healthier than ever.
Dude, right? It'd be like the village, but
Are you talking about a cult in the
No. I'm talking about a self-sustaining community of the appropriate size.
I hate the connotation of the term, like, cult.
No, because there's no religion here. There's no
it's not a religious thing. I'm just talking about
there's
like-minded people that want to be off the
commune.
grid.
No, not even commune, like community.
Well, that's what commune
with actual spots and houses.
That's
and
exactly what it would be, though. It would be a municipality. It would be registered as its own town. Like, we would corporatize. We don't exchange funds.
What do you mean? No, it's like our own place.
We don't.
Barter system.
We own everything. We don't need to exchange funds.
Well, yeah, we don't have to buy stuff from each other.
We might raise money locally so that we can get enough money to buy things that we can't produce.
Well, honestly, by the time we get to this point, we're all going to have enough money that we're going to budget well and have proper funds. It's we're not going to have to worry about that shit. Yeah. You can just live, brother. Be free, my man.
But yeah, that's what we're talking about. If you're a sheep farmer, obviously there's certain items that you can't get, so you'd be going to somebody else who you would then in turn trade,
Yeah, but that's the thing is and you only need so many to get to so many. So yeah, there's a small enough number where you can make an actual community where it's self-sustaining. And so you're not treading on the earth and you're still being, neighborly and having good people and being a part of stuff.
So a hippie commune.
I ain't got nothing against hippies, but
it doesn't need a label.
Yeah,
it's just
a bunch of people.
It's just what it's called. It's the culture where everybody shares as a community in a village with like-minded individuals.
Yeah, but see, when you say hippie, I feel like there's a bunch of people out in the trees just being like, "I love you, thank you for the oxygen."
No, just where people share in their community,
LSD and having fire parties and stuff.
No, she was right. Using the term commune, that would be considered a commune, a small community that is completely self-sustaining.
I feel commune is something that's localized to a small amount of acreage, where I'm talking legit community. Small town. So not the group of 35 people. I'm talking a few hundred people where it's a legit town that fully functions in this capacity. If we did more of those, we could spread ourselves out without having to destroy land.
That is where this all started, though.
But what if everybody had tiny houses?
And we could move them around.
Well, but here's the thing is
horse and buggy style.
I've had thoughts of if we were to start building houses. Well, because think about this. We're still building insane amount of stuff. Here in the States, we're always building. Well, what if part of that building code was every building had to produce a certain amount of its own electricity? And we kept upping that standard. So we get to the eventual point where in the city, skyscrapers are covered in glass that's actually see-through, but
like a panel, solar panel.
Yeah, what's the term for that? Solar electric,
solo electric, or
I don't know. There's a term for it where it's photoreactive. So you can see through it, but it still was able to generate or collect some of that energy and produce electricity from it. Like if we started having to do that, it would minimize our usage on like all sorts of stuff. So if we started building in those kind of manners, where we're, super efficient equipment. So it's like great insulation. You're using less electricity. You're using less resources. Like all these things, if we just started implementing
what were we saying
them,
before the audio generator, use basically like an inverted, enormous speaker that would reverberate with the sound of people speaking and noises going on out and would collect all that and turn it into energy. Like, what's to say the top of the building wouldn't resonate with enough force to create enough power to power the top 10 floors?
You're right. You're just like, all right, everybody on lunch break.
But I mean, just
right. But
just the relative resonance of the street traffic and the noise coming off from the street. I mean, who's to say that wouldn't resonate the top tower enough to create?
Dude, that's a dope idea.
It might not. It obviously wouldn't create enough power to sustain the entire building.
Yeah, but if we can, it
would be enough to offset, right? I mean,
if we can literally scavenge extra, that saves us on so many resources. That's like. Dude, that's a really good idea, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
I like to see this
there could be solar panels in there too.
But this is what having these kinds of conversations allow, is that free thinking and true acceptance and understanding that you can have this kind of out of the box thinking where it's just like, yo, why can't we do that? Like, why can't we're understanding.
Tell me why I can't do that.
We're understanding of this stuff.
Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie you'd like to see?
Press 7 now. But it's I don't know. It's a good thing. This is what I love about us. This is,
Is it going to be that time?
Well, this is also what I love about us. Time to go.
Every time it gets all deep, man.
I'm telling you. But, yeah.
Every time we're ready to jump into a whole new thing, it's like, yo, bro, we got to stop. Sorry.
I know. They're like, oh my God, they just got good. And they're done. Damn it.
And cut.
That's what we do
back
there.
Next week.
Well, yeah, that's, we're here every week. That's what we do. We love you and, we appreciate it. And this is, I'm telling you.
And there's always bonus material.
Yeah, there is. But yeah, hey, if you want to reach out to us, continue that conversation. Again, you can go to directionsofmusic.org, check us out, contacts. You can hit us up individually, or you can
ITY at directionsofmusic.org.
Yeah,
or Mr. Gemini, Gemini at directionsofmusic.org.
Gemini. Just the GEMINI.
Or PHILLY.
Dude. Yeah.
At directionsofmusic.org.
Yeah. And if you want to, hit up Miss JD, you can hit up the ITY. All of us get that, and we'll definitely reach back. But yeah, this is I'm telling you, Philly D.
Mr. Gemini.
JD.
Yeah, and we appreciate you, fam. Thanks for checking us out, and be good to yourself and be good to everyone else.
Much love.
Peace.